Hello, everybody. Just wanted to come in today and communicate something I've been pondering all day about us being made in God's image, but how we often create a God in our own image. And this is clearly communicated in Isaiah 40, starting with verse 18, where Isaiah is challenging the Israelites, and really it's a challenge to all of humanity. How do you guys liken God? Or who do you compare God to? How can I compare this? He says, to the idol maker. And he starts comparing it to how idol makers create a God made in their own image, based on whether they're a goldsmith or they add a little bit of silver. If they can't afford that, they add a little bit of wood, and they create a idol made in their own image. And he says, but have you not heard? Have you forgotten? Have you not heard from the beginning? And what he's referring to is when God created man and women and let us make man and women in our image, in our likeness. And he went into rest and said, it is very, very good. And so really it's like we're starting at the wrong end of this. And when we see this with Adam, we often think that God was upset because Adam and Eve ate fruit. But that wasn't the root of the fall. They ate the fruit because of the root, which is what happened in their minds. And when they were challenged by the serpent to eat of the fruit, and you will be more like God. They already were like God. They already were made in his image, in his likeness. They already were like God. Why? So he was basically telling them to do something that you already are. And so basically when they started thinking, well, maybe if I eat this, I can become more like God, they fell in their minds. They fell in their minds about who God was and how good he was and that he was keeping something from them. And then as soon as God returns into the garden, Adam runs and he hides. And so God says, Adam, where are you? And basically, Adam says, I was naked and I was afraid. And God said, who told you that you were naked? So who told Adam that? Well, it was his own accusation in his mind. So Adam felt guilty, and so he said, oh my goodness, God's angry at me. Or Adam felt that he had become a failure by eating of the fruit. Oh no, God's going to be condemning me, punishing me, and he paints it on God's face. And that's really often what we do. We create a God made based on our own guilt and our own anger when we paint God's face with that. And I remember doing that for years. It's like every time I did something wrong, I made a mistake, I would feel guilty. So I said, oh my goodness, God's angry at me. Or, I would fail at something and saying, God's going to be disappointed at me. Instead of just allowing myself to be made in God's image and him resting in his Sabbath and seeing me in perfection and saying it is very good. And that's really the challenge. And you can make any idol you want of God. If you're judgmental, you can say, well, I can find in the Bible that God's also judgmental, or whatever type of idol you want to form based on your own thoughts and your own feelings. But we need to just rest in who we are as children of God, and that we were created in his image, and that he saw that the Lamb was slain from the foundations of the earth, and he created us and said, it is very good. And to just rest with him. He's inviting us into that rest, to see ourselves as whole and complete. And you can never grow in completeness. You can only grow in your awareness of completeness. So just a couple of thoughts that I had today. Just wanted to come in and communicate those. But I'll talk with you all soon. Take care.